Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. It's the best of Season 5. We've covered a lot in this season of Off 90, from museums and musicians, artists and reenactors, to history and heritage. We'll bring you our favorite stories we've covered this season. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this special episode of Off 90. It's hard to believe, but we've already been through 5 seasons of Off 90, digging up the best arts, culture, and history stories from our region and around Minnesota. We crisscrossed the state from Winona to Lamberton, Albert Lea to Ellendale, and found some incredible people and organizations, all helping to make our state shine. We're going to show you segments from many of the stories we found this season. We hope they inspire you and give you a little bit of Minnesota pride.
They come in for the guns because they like the guns. They find out they like to shoot. But they come back for the people. They always come back for the people, and everybody loves it. Cowboy action shooting is basically we get to dress up like cowboys, like when we dreamed as kids watching the Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, Sky King. It's a dangerous sport to a point. We're shooting real guns with real bullets at targets. This isn't reenactment shooting or stage shooting. We're shooting real guns with real bullets. And it's fun. At this cowboy shoot that we have here, we have to go by their rules. The one thing about SAS is they came up with the same rules that everybody applies for. SAS stands for Single Action Shooting Society. I have traveled to Texas, I have traveled to California with my guns and shot competitions there. I know the rules, we all play by the same rules, so you can then compete there and meet some new friends that you never knew you had. Not only do we have something in every state in the United States, we've got Canada, we have Europe, Japan has some style of it of their own. Well, with here, you gotta remember we're shooting bullets, real guns, real bullets, very loud, and we really require ear protection. We're shooting lead bullets at steel targets. You are gonna get some bounce back, you are gonna get some splatter. It's gonna come back and hit you. So we always have safety glasses, and usually we have to have side shields on them, because if you turn sideways, it still could get into your eyeball. The idea is to have fun. That's our first thing. Have fun and be safe is our motto here. And it's all personal competition. If people do it longer, shorter. It's just what can you do and have fun.
You're right on time.
I'm Mike Eckers. I'm an author, and I've written a book called Colors in the Air. every war has two fronts. You have the home front, what people are doing here and how they're coping with the war, and then you've got where the action is, so to speak. But having two fronts and writing a book about that brings home the togetherness of a couple, like my mom and dad, both doing their part for the war and what those different parts were. The one thing they had in common is that both of them just wanted to do what they could to get together again as soon as possible. So my father was a bombardier. His job was to destroy the Luftwaffe and the manufacturing capability of Germany. My mom here at home, her job was to help guide RAF officers around to factories here in the States so that they could share technology and also advance the end of the war. My mom remembers VE Day. She went to church, which most Americans did that day, go to church and pray. She didn't party because her war wasn't over yet. Her husband, my father, wasn't home yet. When the ship that my father came back on arrived in Boston, my dad literally walked up to my mom. She didn't recognize him because he had lost about 40 pounds and just looked different. Once she knew who it was, she was happy to have him home. I'm a firm believer in the adage that heroes are just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And we call them America's greatest generation. These guys will say that they didn't do anything special. They'll say things like, oh, all I did was guard a beach in California or something, and then you find out later that he won a Bronze Star on Saipan or whatever. They're not out for the glory, they're not out for the recognition. But what will make a tear pop into their eye is when you just come up and quietly thank them and shake their hand and just say thanks for your service.
Everybody gets out of the track, your adrenaline's running. You just do what clicks, whether that's run up to somebody or start throwing punches, whatever it is.
Hey, stupid! When you ram into me, I think that's you.
I'm Anna Browers. I race stock car. I really like going fast. I've always been a racing fan. Dad was always a race fan, so I guess I grew up watching NASCAR with him. And I say Dave, his buddy, was always a racer. This is actually his motor that we're running in the car now. And I was like 16, 17, and he'd kind of mention, you should jump in there, you should jump in there. And never did. And finally, we were all sitting around, and he said, you know what, we better get the car out. You better get in there.
I'm Todd Browers, I'm Anna's father. We race at a small dirt track in Lansing, Minnesota called Chateau Raceway. It's a 3rd-mile track.
I can't really say exactly how other drivers think of me. I know being a rookie, that automatically puts me in a lower position. They already look down to me, and they're more experienced drivers, so I'm kind of in their way. And then, like you say, being a female, I guess, kind of faced that my whole life in construction or work, anywhere I go. I seem to be one of few girls. I think everybody goes through that their first season when you're the rookie. No one's gonna like you. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not the best driver out there, but that's because it's my first season and everybody has to start somewhere.
It's pretty exciting to have a daughter racing. It's a lot of fun. I'm proud of Anna because she's willing to do something she's always wanted to do, and it's mostly men out there doing it, but she's willing to go out there and compete with them and have fun doing it and make a few mistakes, but keep going back at it.
To kind of flash back and think of being in the lake on my very first night to the last night. We didn't hit the wall, which was from the beginning of my season, that was a huge step up. Every driver has their own way of doing things once they get out there. Some drivers like to have everybody around them. Some, I guess, would be more like me. I kind of get in there, do my own deal, and I suppose that's kind of the way I am with anything. I don't need someone there handing me my helmet or flipping the switch for me.
Probably one of the most compelling reasons that I paint the things that I paint is because I'm a sort of a rebel. My name is Kevin Reed. I'm an artist and a dad and a doctor. And I've always been kind of a creative character, kind of a rambunctious, restless, soul. I don't paint or I don't color in the lines. I'm not a very traditional sort of character at all, and I spend much of my time in my paid job in a more traditional kind of environment. And I am able to express myself in ways here that are, there are no boundaries. I can do whatever I want here. I work at a major medical center in Rochester, Minnesota. My training is in chronic facial pain. It's hard for me to process the volume of suffering and anguish that I have experienced over the years, and I have this beneficent urge, I want to help them, but so many of my patients have chronic, unremitting pain. Though I never had any expectation that I would recreate them here, you can see them everywhere in some of the characters that I do. I never know when they're going to show up. Sometimes I'll do a painting and we'll step back and just think, God, where did you come from? And I feel terrible sometimes for these creatures that I paint. I'm probably not the most confident guy around, and I think many of these characters really are autobiographical, but they also represent the vulnerable souls that I've seen in my paid job. And I think the story I'm telling is one of humility and compassion. And if I can keep telling that story, I don't care if I ever sell another piece.
Winemaking is science, it's art, and it's business. The wine industry in Minnesota right now is improving. People are getting better, and it's happening quickly. It's not just the big getting bigger, there are wineries popping up all over the place and they're making it.
My name is Vicki Vogt. I'm the mother of the 4 daughters here, and this is my baby, this winery. My husband and I have farmed for 35 years. So we farm corn and soybeans, and he always wanted someone to be in agriculture with him, but the girls didn't want to do that. So I was really excited to come up with a plan to bring them back and into some form of agriculture. I said, who's in? And I got 2 of them back home. So 2 out of 4 is good. We don't have any sons, we only have daughters. Justin is my son-in-law. When I asked who was going to be in for the winery, when I did the original business plan and said, this is what I want to do, and I said to Justin, would you like to be our winemaker? Last year, our first year out of the gate, Justin won the Governor's Cup, which is really unheard of.
My name is Justin Osborne, and I'm the winemaker at Four Daughters Vineyard and Winery. I'd never made wine before in my life. I went to winemaking school for a while before I even decided, like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. You got a great research institution like the University of Minnesota just creating an industry, not just here, but they created an industry in Wisconsin, in Vermont, in Maine, in North Dakota, and Montana, all these places. This wine industry sprang from nothing in the past 20 years, all because the University of Minnesota bred a few grapes. Most people we get here are novice and they want to take that first step towards, being a wine aficionado. We're trying to build a wine economy here in Minnesota, and 3 years ago it was, there were 5 to 10 wineries making good wine, and now there's like 20 to 30. People are figuring it out. There are more people with education, coming into the industry. There's people from California moving back here. We'll see how big it can get. There's like an arms race. I mean, we're amping up. I mean, that press we got, that new thing, that's huge. We're planning on doing really big volumes here. People are making millions of bottles of wine across our borders, and there's no reason why we couldn't do that as well.
Okay, Levi, you need to focus. What's 97 plus 0? That's an easy one. Just think of something one of your friends would say and put it inside the quotation marks. Do you round it down to 0 or up to 100? What's 96 plus 2? That's an easy one. Can you find 96 on the number line? People do tend to ask questions about whether it can give them a full education at home. Are they able to be involved in sports? Are the children getting in? Do they have friends? Do they have a social outlet? And am I qualified to teach them the things that they're required to learn? Write it down. I call myself a homeschool mom because it's more than just being a teacher, it's a lifestyle. My main reason for homeschooling, I have many reasons, but my main reason is to provide the children with an education that is very tailored to their own needs and to their own strengths and weaknesses and their own learning styles. I feel that by doing this, they are being taught not only how to pass tests, but how to remember and retain and understand the things that they're learning. Neatest, helpful, and playful. Those are happy words. I was homeschooled all the way through, from first grade all the way through 12th grade, and I had a very positive experience with it. And it was always something that I knew I was going to do with my own kids because I enjoyed the experience myself so much, and I found that it benefited me a lot. I love to be that connection with them, and it makes my role as a mother feel more complete that I'm including their education in that. And it also, I feel that I'm providing them with a great opportunity because I try to teach them not only the things that they're learning, but the love of learning, so that as they grow up, their education doesn't have to end at high school or even college, but that into their adult life they will still love to learn and will pick up books on purpose to read and to expand their knowledge. And that, I think, is an important gift to give a child, and I feel that if that is what their adult life will be like, that I have succeeded as a homeschool mom.
At 9 o'clock that night, Encyclopedia climbed into bed.
I think fundamentally we all want to give our children the best education we can, not just homeschoolers, but people who send their kids to public school or private school. That's the goal. And so we really do share a common goal, despite the different reasons for it.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta.
Wells doesn't have the world's largest ball of twine. We have a $3 theater ticket with first-run movies.
Hey, Betty!
Hi! I'm Betty Roberts Olson, and the kids all call me the theater lady. I started working at the Flame Theater in 1965. The former theater owners, Sid and Helen Heath, asked me if I would work for them because they wanted to go to a wedding, and I said yes, I would, for a week. But I ended up working 45 years.
It opened somewhere in the 1900s, the early 1900s. It went through a number of different stages, from being named the Princess Theater, then the State Theater. I'm Ron Hartman, and I've been the chairman of the Flame Theater Board for about 14 years. There was a fire that took the theater out.
I remember the fire. The movie that was playing was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I thought, what are the kids going to do now? You know, because a town this size at that time, there wasn't much else to do but go to the theater. Then they rebuilt.
And they had a contest to name the new theater. The Flame Theater is the winning name that they chose.
So that's what it's called.
I think there's still something special that everybody realizes of having a gigantic screen and the experience of others around them. This is such an asset to our town. One of the city leaders called it the Jewel of Wells.
The response that I love the most is when people come into my booth and they will just stand there with their mouths open. Gaze around, and then after a little while, they'll come over and tell me, I am just speechless, I am in awe. And that's the highest compliment to me, you know, that's when I know that I'm doing the right thing. I mean, it's a really fulfilling moment when people can tell me that. I've had all the way from somebody walking into my shop and looking around at the nudes and the torsos and going, this is smut, and watch marching out. And sometimes I have people come in with their little kids and they kind of look around, and then all of a sudden they make a beeline for the door. Like, come on, kids, let's get out of here. But mostly, you know, people get it, that this is about the beauty of the human form and of nature, and that they just really, truly, deeply appreciate the resonance of that, so.
That's all for this episode. Please help Off 90 meet its financial obligations by becoming a member of KSMQ Public Television. Give us a call at 1-800-658-2539 or sign up online at ksmq.org. Thanks for watching. Join us next time, Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.